Hello, everybody, and welcome to your Monday night Plastic Crack podcast, season 4, episode 23, because somebody forgot to update the episode count last week, so I had to go back a week earlier to find out which one it was. Yeah.
It ran so smoothly last week.
Yeah.
Oh, God, we can see him tonight. Oh, sugar. We're going to have a nice block out again.
It's just grim. Just grim. How are we all doing, gentlemen?
Yeah, good, mate.
Good, thank you.
Very good.
Excellent. Well,
Your good self?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm kind of writing a big report at the minute, and I've been staring at the screen writing about tiny little post holes all day. So I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to this. Of course, thank you everybody who has joined us tonight, and thank you for those of us who are watching on the replay. Of course, we are sponsored over at Boards and Swords. So remember that if you're watching the stream and you fancy buying something, go over to the guys at Boards and Swords and enter the code PCP5 to get your 5% off, which in some cases will net you nearly 25% off, I believe. And judging by what's been teased to be released in the next sort of
I heard that.
Goodness, what was that?
I dare say, was that Steve?
I had a moment of weakness. My normal
His inner child came out then.
My normal stoic.
Put it back in. Is it like put it back what's that thing in Total
now.
Rico where your inner child comes out? It's like Quato. Is it come out?
It's a Quato, yeah.
Is it Quato? Fantastic. That's from Total Recall, Ken, if you don't understand that reference.
I have watched Total Recall, believe it or not.
Which
I
one?
bet which one?
Yeah, the first one, I think.
Whichever one. Or the
the one with Arnie.
Yeah,
okay.
Okay,
you let
What?
off.
The only one. Of course, we are all here tonight. So down below me, we have Steve from On Point HQ. Dressed up like the scum of the earth is Dom in the boot room, and hailing straight from the Almighty is brother Ken. Sent himself to spread the word. And
Just what word is it though? That's
we don't mention the word.
We don't mention the word.
No, we don't.
We don't mention the word. No, we don't mention it. So let's see who has joined us here tonight. So first of all, Peter Little, how are you doing, dude?
Hello, Peter. I haven't seen
It's
you for
been a while.
Hello,
No meeting
Morph.
tonight to watch live for the first time, and we're very glad to have
Yay.
you as well. Battle Matt, how are you doing? Second in the chat. It's been a quiet week. Rich M, Bicker City, how are you doing? You still painting from the same thing the other day? John Surbury, Hippo's Hobby Hour, how are you doing, dude? Lionheart, Lazy Pirate Painting, Paul's Paint Shed, how you doing? John Surbury, Morksick, Carl Burks, Paul Parker, how are you doing? So I'm just going to keep going through. Daniel Justin. Everyone's having a good old chat in there. It makes it really, really hard to catch up with who's there. Andrew JF, John Carter, Barnes White, Crozier, 9999, Payden, how you doing? Steve Harbour, Yorkshire Dragoon, how you doing? Tim, John Vanderhoven, Red Steph, Friends of General Haig, Simon Stokes, Andy Stoker, Benjamin Christian, John Clarkey, Jim Reaper's here. How you doing, dude?
Jim.
Should we be studying?
Yeah, Jim.
Yeah.
You're studying. Stoic Steve, Robin's here, Bob Roberts, Nick Games, Miller's Miniatures, Cardboard Fortress. How you doing? Not sure I've seen you here before. Welcome. John City, Shay Ghost and Sprues. I watched your show highlights earlier. That was really good. I enjoyed that. That kept me going through a particularly difficult period of my report. Ham and Jam, Sam Ferguson, the flimsy Wargamer. Hello, how are you doing? You normally watched on the catch up, first time joining live. How are you doing? Excellent name, sir. Bartos here, Leslie's here. It's here, and it's done that thing where it's just jumped all the way to the bottom. Phoenix 9791. Hello, how are you doing? And Louis Baby, Storm of Steel. You're right, Alex. Granaprigo. And I think we're there. Roll some dice, and Simon Voyle. If I missed you in that roundup, I'm very sorry. Of course, we just bid you a big warm welcome. So tonight's topic is it was kindly sort of given to me by Robin, and I've sort of expanded on it, which is why do people stick to one scale? Should you stick to one scale? What's wrong with trying other scales? Or why do you collect the same army in 7 different scales just for any eventuality, like shoes? So I just serious. So I thought we'd have a bit of fun. It's all just a bit of a laugh until it isn't. And I'm sure everyone will walk away from this friends, or this could be the last episode of the PCP. We will see. Who knows? Let's find out. But anyway, I think maybe we should catch up on what people have been up to. So as he's looking ready and we can see what he's doing, let's go with Steve. Steve.
Steve!
I've got some really boring photographs. I haven't painted a single thing. I've been having far too much fun. This has just been far too much fun. It's beyond it. I've transcended.
Is that allowed, Steve?
It is allowed up north occasionally. So as I mentioned last week, I bought a crap load of Games Workshop plastic scenery for Necromunda, and it's called Zone Mortalis. Because I want to make myself a really, really funky setup for Space Weirdo, which is played on a 2x2 or a 3x3 board, depending on how many points and figures you've taken. So I've got myself into a bit of a thing here because I've really enjoyed this. So I'm going to show you a couple of boring photographs of grey plastic, but this is what I've been up to.
Isn't that what we do every week? Like,
yeah, this is unpainted. I don't like showing unpainted stuff, but I've not painted any of these yet. Okay, so this is what I've been. These apologies for the crap photographs as well. So this was most of what I've done so far.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Is
this all of the sets you'd shown the other day, or have you added on top of that?
No, these are all the. I mean, I've still got loads of stuff left. Loads of bits and pieces left over. So that's bits from the columns and walls. I'm adding an extra wing to the apartment with their Zone Mortalis. It should be interesting. As long as I don't put my rent up. So that's up from all different kits. Where's another one? So that's another shot. That's again, I've added to this. This was last Wednesday, I believe. I've added more to it since then. What I like about it is the height, the multi-levels. That's what I'm aiming for. And then on Saturday, I was. So you start building narratives into your scenery. It's not just a piece of scenery. It's someone's house. It's
right.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just something. So what I've been doing is I've been building an underhive doctor's surgery. So there we go.
Very nice.
I've got a nice desk there. I've got a stretcher. I've got a medicine cabinet.
What is it with you and desks? You're the only person I know in scenery is like someone needs a desk. You like that bit from Family Guy. Why does the Emperor have a desk in Star Wars? Why does it? Because Steve designed it.
I love desks in scenery. So that's what I've been doing. And there's another close up of it there.
Very cool.
So there we go. I love that stretcher. That is so cool.
So you're building this all and then going to have one massive painting session.
Yes. To Rich, I am hopefully bringing all of this along with me to CrackCon. It's going to be good. But what I did, all those bits and pieces, I never, until Friday. No. I mean, the thing is, I was actually talking to my brother. My brother isn't a wargamer, but back in the day when we were kids, we used to play Necromunda. And I said to him, I showed him some photographs on Saturday, and I was like, "Yeah, the Necromunda's changed slightly, hasn't it?" And he was like, "It has, but you can see where they've got the inspiration from. They've sort of borrowed from the old plastic cardboard stuff from the 90s." He was given that he doesn't like the hobby, but he does like Necromunda. Yeah, I was more of a positive response from him than I was expecting. Normally, I just get told to piss off and being boring. Yes. Until last week, I didn't know these existed, so I picked up a couple. I don't know why I didn't know these happened, but I didn't know that Mantic did terrain.
Oh yeah,
terrain.
They do some really good stuff, and it's quite reasonable as well.
I didn't know. I really didn't. So I did a bit of a look through, and I picked these up off Amazon. So we've got a terrain crate with an abandoned factory. It's got all those bits and pieces in it. And I also picked up industrial accessories as well.
Very nice.
Industrial accessories.
It's just pipes, really. Pipes and generators and pipes and a walkway. But they're really good, and they're quite detailed as well. They really are quite detailed. But that's what I've been doing. I've got an IKEA fetish, Benjamin.
Well, we know someone does.
Yeah.
Sure, I've do it.
So that's all I've been doing all week. So I'm hopefully gonna finish it all sort of midweek when I've run, because essentially once you've run out of these blocks and walls, you're a bit scuppered for actually building the stuff together.
Yeah,
I've still got bits. I've still got bits from the stronghold, some walkways and some barriers, but for the most part, I think I've done. So I'm starting on the scatter. That's why I showed you a picture this the other day. I kit bashed that during my break in work out of some plastic card and some the towel bits and pieces. It's quite addictive. This it really is quite addictive, and I'm really enjoying it. What I'll have to do though when I come to paint it is I'm either going to hand paint it, which I'm not looking forward to, or I'm going to take it all around to my brother's and get him, use his garden so I can spray it. Because if I spray it here, I will probably knock myself unconscious with fumes. So I'm not going to try it. I've done that in the past. Not recommended, kids. Not recommended.
Just use various sprays and then hit it with loads of washes and weathering and all that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been watching a load of the Necromunda builds from Agrathea. And I really like the way he does it. So it's black, and then he does a lighter burst of metallic, and then like bronze, and then he just dry brushes the whole thing in like brown, and then he just adds bits of green and rust, and it looks really good. And it looks quite quick the way he does it. So that's why I think because I've painted these chaps up all really colourful, I think they're going to really stand out against a really grim looking table. But this is addictive. This is really addictive. But I've really enjoyed myself. And on Saturday, I was covered in super glue. It's really good. I mean, I don't know how I didn't know them. I know they did scenery for their Dead Zone game, but I didn't know they just did standalone scenery. I was properly made up with it, so it's great. Really enjoying myself.
Excellent.
So you were covered in super glue and drinking weird beer. It's your idea of heaven, wasn't it, that weekend? Brilliant
weekend. Covered in glue, some quality films, covered in lots of weird beers. It was a wonderful weekend.
Excellent, excellent. All right, then. Well, as I know, he's done some stuff. Ken, why don't you share what you've been doing on the painting?
It's been a very strange week for me, I think. So I've done a little bit. So what we got? So first of all, got a couple of the Hero Quest figures from the box set. Yeah, so they're just like chaosy sort of guys. I've just gone for like no generic paint scheme. Just thought I've gone for red and black, and then just touched over silver and put a wash over it. Job done. I'm going to change the bases over to some square ones, but they're just little play figures for the game, so that'd be nice when they're all finished. I've just finished another one now, to be fair. Just put the wash on. So there's only one more of those to do. Then I pasted up this guy who's been sitting on my desk for about for about a year. I did a few extra bits, and I added some lines into his book. He's preaching the good word to the good man.
I was about to say he's got the good book.
Yeah, he has got the good book with him, so he's preaching the world. Then I went completely different, and I went down the line of the Lord of the Rings. So I did Farmer Maggot and his 3 dogs, which, to be fair, I'm actually really happy with. I did quite a really nice paint job, I thought, on him. I was pretty happy.
I really like that. That does look cool.
Yeah, he's got some cool rules as well, and I can use him in scenarios and stuff. So
is that my board?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I recognise.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Yes, that looks familiar.
That looks familiar. Yeah, but I didn't stop there. So I then decided.
What have you been doing?
I then decided to paint a load of dwarves. And based on my fans for fantasy. So I did some.
Have you been drinking milk?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you going to make some kind of like plug to fill that 5mm gap at the side? Is that not doing?
No, it's not. It's not. It's because I didn't push them down all the way. You can see they're not balanced out. So no,
That's
it's
for
fine.
him to put the spare dice, Martin, when he needs to swap them out.
Great.
So yeah, I did a unit of thunders, but I didn't stop there.
Oh my goodness!
I know. I didn't stop there. I did some bowmen. And a nice one a night. So bring it.
No,
The Bretonians.
Yeah.
So taking it back to a bars from the past. Used some contrast paint on these. Did a little bit of a dry brush as well. So I did some Bretonians, and there's the actual Lord is actually from the Dogs of War kits. So he's one of the special generals. So I did him as well. But I didn't stop there.
Are you sure you're feeling all right?
I did a 20-man unit of dwarfs.
Have you been left you or something, or what's going on?
No, I just went a bit mental this week. I really got the bug, so I did a nice unit of dwarfs. So yeah, and yellow looks good. Oh yeah, cheers.
Yeah. Called a fire brigade Ken's paintbrushes.
Don't worry, folks. We're going to be performing some tests after the podcast to make sure this is the real Ken.
I did.
But to be fair, I prefer this
two
version,
units.
so can we keep this one?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I did too.
I have finished 2 more units today, and I haven't put them up here, so they're for next week.
Sorry, I missed this. Have you been at work?
Yeah, all week.
So what should be your excuse? What's wrong with you?
I don't know.
What's happened to you?
Started painting.
I think last week when he wasn't here, but he was sort of here as a separate. That was actually a Martian that had come in and swapped.
Yeah, they hadn't quite taken his form.
They hadn't
yet.
quite finished it over. Yeah,
no.
They hadn't quite
But to be fair, as you can probably see behind me, I've had a bit of a jig round in the hobby room. So I've got both printers are up there now.
Drink.
Oh shit.
I'll drink in a second. All I've got in my hand is a printed spider and a paintbrush.
To be fair, I've been printing. So do you know the Hero Quest box set?
The one that you won at Bolton Swords nearly a year ago, and you still haven't finished painting. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one that I'm in the middle of painting right now. So I'm printing out. I found inserts for it to make the board, so you get rid of the cardboard stuff. So I'm doing that at the minute. So I'm printing them off. So it's all nice going to be in the box. And I found the actual tiles for the board, so I'm going to do those as well. So when I do actually, so I'm very happy.
Well
very
done.
happy indeed.
Very nice. Yeah. Do you feel accomplished? Do you feel?
I want to paint some more Lord of the Rings. So yeah, definitely.
Well done. Are the little brown bags still down there? Can you just go into your little brown bag stash that you were going to do?
Well, technically, I painted Farmer Maggie. He was from the brown bags. I've completely forgot about those.
Excellent. For some reason, I don't know why. I always thought Farmer Maggot was actually a human until GW released that model.
He's a hobbit, isn't he?
Well, it's never. I swear that
he does make it. In the film, it makes him out to be like a human, doesn't it? You don't know.
I always thought he was a human who lived on the edge of the Shire, and that's why he got so angry. Because I always imagined it like a Peter Rabbit thing, like they're going into and stuff. So and then GW released that model obviously years ago now.
But he's the opposite in the book. If you read the books, he's nothing like in the film.
Yeah. Well, you don't even see him in the film, do you?
No, he's just a grumpy bastard.
You just see the scythe moving above the crops, don't you? Well, that's awesome. Dom, has Ken beaten you this week?
Well, I think he might have done. I thought I'd done pretty well, but I'm gonna, bow to the master of the paintbrush over there. I've had a weird old week of variety, I have to say.
You can keep your head still. You're not allowed to move. You print yourself off a neck brace and don't move.
Fucking mic. Yeah. The annoying thing is Dom's got the same mic.
Yeah, but I've got it set and it stays there, and it's set on a setting that just does this direction, doesn't, whatever.
So Freddy Joe Hayes says it is the real Ken. His microphone proves it.
Oh dear, what did I do? Well, I showed this one on the Facebook page, but I'm going to show it again because I really enjoyed doing it. So I went back into the good old Badgers and Boroughs figures and did this Ranger figure, which I'd had for a little while.
That's really lovely.
That's really nice.
Really enjoyed doing him. He was a lot of fun to do. They're just always so nice. And for some reason, I actually really like spending a lot of time with them. Actually painting and spending.
Well, it's a bit like Ken was talking about last week, because they're so characterful and each one is an individual. If you spend a couple of hours just on one, it's that's it, isn't it? It's a skirmish game.
You're not going to
a
do
lot
a
more,
unit of them, are you? So I suppose that's
No.
the thing.
No.
Yeah.
I always said that when I've painted my Boros and Badger stuff, I've always just sat down and painted them as one. I don't batch paint; they're always just done as one. I'm mostly done in one painting session. It's just so therapeutic and a bit zen when you're painting them.
I do exactly the same, Steve. Every time it's sometimes it can be till quite late at night, but I just want to just work through it because it just so much fun to do. So that was my first thing back after holidays. So I thought I'd get on. Really pleased with how he came out, and then I went to the other extreme, and I thought I'd try to go at one of these epic pike and shot things. So I did a regiment of that.
Ah, very nice.
I started to join you in on that when you said I did some trousers and then boxed firmly back.
How was that, John?
So I have to say I made a tactical error. So I undercoated them all on the sprue, and then I proceeded to paint them all in one go on the sprue. And that nearly killed me. So I won't do that again. And
Is that the wrong approach then, Dom?
Yeah, I think so. It was for me. I think if I'd just done the wings of muskets and then half the pikemen, like I would normally do with a bigger unit, I think I would have not lost the will to live quite as I did with that.
Dom, that's what I was saying when I first did those ACW ones. Now I was painting 6 strips at a time.
I think that's the way to go, Steve. Definitely.
That finished me. I'm down to 2. I work on
6 you did. Oh, blimey! No, 2 or 3. I think that's it. Yeah,
and you could see the quality dipping from the first. The first one was like pristine and perfect, and the 6th looked like I'd done it in the dark using my feet. It was just crap everywhere, and there's nothing so soul destroying as painting individual trousers on American Civil War soldiers. No, I mean I've only painted one of these bases so far, my test one. And I spent far too long on that than I normally would, and I've not gone back. I'm going to go back to them soon. Yeah, so
I've never tried it personally.
Well, I just thought it because they're so small that actually I thought having them on the sprue would actually help because you can hold them. And as I'm going to do a production line, I thought it'd be a lot easier just to sort of work through and then but it just I don't know. What
Short and sweet with lots of courses.
What's that reference to?
I don't know. I think painting, but now I'm unsure.
Well, whatever. Someone's having a nice dinner, maybe. Then I thought I'd get on. Last week I was making during the stream. I was making all these 15mm ACW buildings, so I painted them up because they're. I think they said they were for the epic ACW, but I think they're actually 15mm because they're quite big actually.
They're Cerisa, aren't they? They're 15. They're 15s.
They've just got them done. But then this is your fault, Martin. Then went. Yeah, this one.
Did I do?
That one.
Oh, that
Yeah.
We should have a game and all put them on the table at the same time. So we have the most religious town. It's just that all their churches are burned. That is fantastic. Lovely. How did you find doing it?
I really enjoyed doing it, I have to say.
Isn't it? It's such a lovely little kit, isn't it? I genuinely feel like every wargamer should, if you're playing, and I'm sure we'll come on to this, if you've got 28mm and this kind of, I suppose, I don't know, last 500 years or so, that you should have it because it's just so versatile, like the other ones they do. And I just loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Me too. It was really easy to put together. The most difficult thing is the leaning tower bit, but even that's not that difficult.
See, I've left mine separate so I can take it. I can take the roof off. But you do have to kind of balance it a little bit. But no, it's in fact the most awkward thing about that, I think if there was a thing, was probably just sticking the 2 halves of the bell together because it was the only. But even that was dead simple. It was just because I just stuck my fingers. But it's great. But it would work so well even if you stuck your Burrows and Badgers minis in front of that. It would be great.
Oh yeah, it would work perfectly well.
You could do Burrows and Badgers, but like the Magnificent Seven, have 7 like critters defending against like a load of stoats and weasels. That'd be amazing.
I like that. That'd be great fun.
I really like what you done with the roof. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So lots of washes and different contrast paints and what have you. So I think it was the greeny slimy stuff is it plague something or other, plague flesh contrast paint.
You see, I used you did what I did. You just reach for the nearest green.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
I used Militarum green.
Good stuff. So then I thought I'd better get to some sensible stuff. So I worked on some Spanish Napoleonic skirmishers. So these are offensive miniatures, which I love. They're so nice to paint. There's not enough variety in the pack, as you can see, but they're really cool. So I'm just working through a couple of battalions of them for my. I want to do I am doing a Spanish black powder brigade for Napoleonic. So that's the skirmishing units to go with them, which will also be
lovely.
For General Dame, I would imagine. And then I had the general kit from Perry's. So I thought I'd do that. Again, the photograph, somebody commented on my videos the other day that the eyes looked all sort of scary with those white blobs. And I think it must be the light because they don't look as bright as that. They look like some kind of zombies.
I love the work on the main guy and the guy on white. That looks really good, mate.
It was fun.
Really,
yeah,
really
again, lovely models. Cheers. They were lovely models, as you'd expect from the Perrys, but really good fun to do. So, yeah, so that was my stuff this week. Finally got some decent. We've lost Ken. That's good.
Oh, good. What happened? He's just combusted.
I think it was doing all that paint.
The real Ken's shown up.
Oh shit! Yeah, we're in trouble.
He swore too many times.
What about you, then, Martin? When have you been up to?
So I've actually been up to quite a lot, but I only finished one thing, and that's just due to just learning how to paint camels, basically. So the thing I finished. So last week on the stream, I said that I bought Rangers of Shadow Deep. Well, that turned up. Lovely book it is as well. So I was having to read through this, and in it you have to have your sort of, your common monsters, which are like your giant rats, your giant spiders, your zombies. So last week on the stream I was painting the zombies and I finished them. So here they are. So yeah. There they are. There's just some zombies in front of my chair. Now these are, get ready to drink. Not for you. No, they are for you. Well, like I said, for this project, I've channeled my inner Ken, and I'm just sourcing free files. I'm not getting ones that are rip-offs. I'm just finding the ones that people have posted for free and printing them. So these aren't the greatest sculpts in the world, but I figured with enough blood and guts and sort of rust effects on them. So I quite like this guy, so I decided to snap both his arms off and just have an armless one, and just sort of have a bit of fun with them. And then I thought you might appreciate this one because I brought. So to get all the gribbly sort of the guts effects, that's the Vallejo mud effect. I just put it on there before I sprayed it, and then just put loads of contrast paint and gloss varnish into it. So they were what I finished, but they were good fun. I think they do the job. I think they look like the shambling dead, and as you can see, the church makes a really nice little backdrop.
Can I just say something?
Yeah,
I'm surprised that you managed to get through that particular showcase and nobody mentioned a particular drinking establishment in Derby.
I quite like this guy, so I just snapped both his arms off. If you met me, you know that I have all the strength of like a twig. So if I went to do anything, I wouldn't snap anybody. I might try ask someone else to do it. No, that's why I'm friends with Miller. Really, it's because he's big. And
by the way, cheers, Miller. Thank you, appreciate it. He was very complimentary.
Oh, hello, John. How you doing, dude? Johnny B's here.
Johnny B.
How are you doing?
You
could use them for conflict. They're nice little files, but so they will be harassing us for Rangers of Shadow Deep, and then if you want, I did a live stream the other day, and I was painting up the Reconquer camels, and I finished all the camels, but the bases, because I neglected to take into account the size difference between a camel and a horse, so I thought I would use these bases, my normal ones. And I can't get free camels on them. So I've had to increase my base size. But because, again, it's Hail Caesar, it's all based on frontage. The frontage is still a small unit's worth. So that's all right. But no, I'm just waiting for they're just up here drying the bases. But the way they're probably the biggest I've done using the AK effects, because so they look like sort of big slices of cake at the minute with loads of pattern design. So so yes, that's what I've been doing. And I'm currently painting 12 giant spiders, and I'm just slapping contrast paints everywhere onto them because giant red spiders I think would look terrifying and quite fun. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Absolutely. Well, what we're going to do now, ladies and gentlemen, is we have the results. I say the results, the entries from the latest online painting challenge that Warren, Paul, and co kindly sent over. So if you're not familiar with the online painting challenge, head over to the Facebook group. Remember, you can actually find the links to the Facebook group down below. You just have to answer Dom's questions free. I realised that we had one today, and I just saw that they'd answered the question, so I just clicked yes, and then I didn't actually read what they'd written. So
I put in place these strict security protocols.
So if it was you, well done. That was down to me, but their answers were just yes, and yes. So congratulations. That was it was a good job that you got me reviewing it, because you would I think Dom would have sent you back to do some homework. But yes, anyway, so the online painting challenge, each month the guys, they pick a subject, and it's just a community paint thing. There's no prize, there's no sort of anything other than just sharing and taking part in a group build. And the theme for June was a command stand, and there was 11 entries. And Warren has sent me over his little commentary.
Can I put my Spanish commanders in for that? I didn't realise.
Why not? It's all part of it. It's all part of it. So the first one is Christopher, and he did a general with a aide de camp. So here we go. Now we had a bit of a nightmare uploading these, just because StreamYard did its funny thing where it deleted photos. But I think we're here, and that is lovely. Are they 20?
Holy moly!
Wowza!
Are they 20 or are they?
Whatever they are, they're nice.
They are lovely.
They must be 28, sure.
Look at that gold. That gold is fantastic.
Oh
wow!
Yeah, I am
absolutely
flabbergasted by the quality on those. Wow.
Absolutely. Is that go on, Steve? We want to see some Napoleonics. Next up, we have Gaza, who has done a command stand for the Third Crusade. If I can find it, there we are. So he's done multiple command stands. These are lovely.
Nice.
So clean. I really like that.
Wow,
really
nice too. Jeez,
really nice, and obviously usable in multiple systems as well.
Oh yeah,
so that's really nice. Excuse me, I chuck all my figures in the bin. That's what Steve does. It really upsets Ken.
Yeah.
Well, when I throwing stuff away.
Yeah.
Very brutal.
Lovely work. Jonas has done a Soviet headquarters unit.
Oh, that's nice.
Lovely. I really like the. I know it sounds really weird, but I really like the telegraph pole.
Yes.
I know I sound like Rimmer from Red Dwarf, but
that is brilliant.
That is fantastic.
I like it's the fact it's a papal wagon as well, with the old smoke coming out the top. Very good.
That is very, very cool. Lovely work. The next up is someone called Martin, who did Raymond, the Count of Toulouse.
That's completely average.
So yeah. I personally, I think we should kick him out the group. Do you know what? I thought we've managed to get 35 minutes in, and Ken hadn't insulted me yet. And there we go. So right, the gloves are off for the rest of the stream. Next up, we have Paul, if I can find it, and his. Now, I apologise here because I think Warren sent me two pictures the same. So we've got Paul Franklin and is Richard the Lionheart.
Oh my
But
goodness!
this might not. I don't know if this is Paul's or not, because
Hey,
then
Paul.
we have another Richard the Lionheart by Richard later, and we've got the same photo here for both.
So it could be Paul or Richard.
So it could be Paul or Richard. So what we'll do is Ken, because he's helpful like this, is going to go onto the Facebook page and find either Paul or Richard's other entry and then upload it, aren't you, Ken?
Well
done.
BS.
Yes. So that's it. And then we have Paul, who has done his Richard, Duke of Gloucester.
Oh, very
for
nice.
his Wars of the Roses project.
Nice.
Inspired by the Graham Turner
I
painting.
mean,
Where he's pointing out.
Even something as simple as a model as that, he's got the frigging teeth in there. I mean, you know, it's just not fair.
I know. It's
Just
lovely, isn't it?
Fair.
Now, Stephen, we've got to have, we've got something weird, but I've seen this already, and this is fantastic. This is his.
Paul Franklin's.
That was Paul Franklin's.
And what's the other one?
Richard. Richard. It just says Richard the Lionheart. So get searching. That is lovely.
Yeah,
I really, really like the use of the color, especially the blue.
I have no idea what it is, but it is amazing colours.
It's fabulous. I can't think of another word to describe it. It does look awesome.
That is what you call next level. Absolute next level.
Tony has done Picton.
Oh, brilliant. Good job, Tony.
Lovely stuff.
Hey, lovely.
I know what that is.
I do like Picton. And Tony Phillips has done a command stand for his Epic French. Lovely.
Ooh, nice.
Lovely stuff. Really, really, really nice work. So what we will do, obviously, we'll carry on the show. Once Ken has located that other photo, we will share that. The theme for the coming month is something that is est. You have painted, e.g., the biggest, the smallest, the funniest. Don't forget to add the hashtag OPC18 for your entries. So the smallest, the biggest, the funniest, the est, just some kind of est. But have a look over on the Facebook group. You get to the end of the month to do it, and we really look forward to seeing him. So thank you to Warren and the guys as always for running that and post and sending us all of the results. Right then. We've got 139 people watching. Thank you very much for tuning in. Did you see your minis you did with Reconquer turned up on it? No. My minis? What the
new ones?
My minis or the minis I painted or my ones?
Which one?
Which ones? The ones I painted or the ones that are going to be coming out? Can you find me a link? Where? What's this on? Is this on the? What is it? Where is it? Send me a link. I like
no, damn it!
I think that means he didn't know it was on.
No. Where is it? Is it a link? Is it a video? Is it a painting? What is it? God damn it! Tell me.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
On tabletop is that they do the Weekender show, don't they? All unusual stuff. I wonder if it's that one.
Yeah.
Yes, Martin. My commissions. Okay.
Just so you know, I can't find this.
Oh dear. Well, what we'll do, if you're watchable, I will chat to Warren. I'll find the file, and if we can't get it up this week, we will show it off next week. So yes, absolutely fantastic. Right then, shall we talk about scale? Let's talk about scale. So basically, I was wondering, and I'm probably going to regret doing this. Out of the four of us, is there any of us who actually would just stick to one scale?
Yeah, you.
28. I don't just stick to one scale.
No, I wouldn't stick
to multiple scales. I've got 15s. I've got 6s. I hate them, but I've got 6s.
No, I wouldn't stick to one scale.
No. Steve?
Sorry.
Steve.
I'm being confused by a staircase. No, I wouldn't. I mean, I'm predominantly 28, but I dabble in 15. I will soon be dabbling in a smaller scale.
Well, we shall save all this for the news section, where Dom can have a long toilet break, because I imagine Dom's going to go quite quick.
Gonna need it.
He's going to have a nana nap at that period. Okay, so no, I was just wondering, so because I know a couple of people who I don't actually think watch this, so who religiously stick to 28mm, and that's just what they're comfortable with. They just don't see, and that's mainly because of, oh, hang on, I forgot Warren did the Goblin King. I completely forgot.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Sorry, I forgot about Warren. Warren
Yeah.
did the Goblin King. Sorry, dude. Anyway, there he is. And what's fantastic about this, actually, if you go and have a look at this on the Facebook group, the guy's scratching a fold of his fat. He's lifting up a fold of his stomach.
oh my goodness.
just to get that itch that like you can't reach. But anyway, yes, sorry, Warren. Sorry, dude. Completely forgot that one. So there we are. Anyway, there we go. So sorry, yes. So I've got some friends who do just stick to one scale, and that's because their main reason is they find painting anything smaller than 28mm really challenging, and they just don't enjoy it. So I can kind of see sort of that sort of point of view, I guess. But what do you think? I mean,
see that. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I mean, honestly, after doing those 6mm samurai, I have no desire to do anything at 6mm ever again. I know it was the miniatures that did it to me, but I really don't want to pick up 6mm again. Which is funny because I'm doing that little 10mm one, and it's not a great deal different, but the miniatures are a lot nicer. Those are my little nog in the nog things, so they're a lot nicer. Okay, well, this sort of then leads into what I was going to say, and now I think me and Dom are going to butt heads now, aren't we? Why? So for example, I don't like collecting two armies in different scale, like in multiple scales, because to me, it's not about the armies; it's about a project, right? So I'll do for example, I did my English Civil War. The epic one came out, and if I was going to do that, I would do that for the 30 Years War. To me personally, I don't find enjoyment in doing the same thing again at a smaller scale because I've already done it. I find, to me, I find it a bit boring because I've already done it. I want to do something new. I want to work on a new thing. So I do an entirely new project at a different scale. But I've never been tempted, for example, I haven't been, I did think about doing the epic Napoleonics, but it would have been for the Prussians. And then I just sort of the more I looked at them, I just thought, you know what, I'm happy with my 228mm armies. And so what do you think about that? Why, is it just down to the size of the game so people can play bigger games, or is it just because people love one period so much they like having just that vast collection they can field in division, corps, and brigade level?
So personally, for me, 28mm is always my preferred scale. So I would always, given a preference, to do 28mm because I just think it's easier to paint. I like the visual effect of the games. I can build, like you say, a bit of character, a bit of personalization as much as I will do into a unit, and I've always liked doing that sort of thing. However, 15mm or smaller is a lot easier for bigger games because you don't need so much space. Also, consideration for me is transporting. So if we don't go down the club, being able to carry them, carrying two 28mm Napoleonic armies, which are largely metal, is
a workout.
Is a workout, yeah. And then all the trains go with it and everything. Hiya, Luke.
Hello.
Welcome.
Nice one. Thank you.
I expect he's traumatized by binge watching our stuff. Blimey. But I do feel that, and it may be slightly controversial. God, blimey, sounds like Ken. I feel that the smaller they get, the more they become, to me at least, almost like a counter, so that the individual doesn't matter anymore. And it's almost like doing it becomes a pure counter for me. So that when it gets down to 15, for big battles. I think some of the stuff you do with like O group and some of the other things in 15mm, I think you can build that personalization and characterization in. But when it's the big Napoleonic, I've got loads of 15mm Napoleonics. I've got loads of 15mm Ancients. I've got loads of 50mm ECWs. And to me, they are just blocks. They're just units. They're not proper blocks. So that's where I get away from, just using a brick or something to represent them. But yeah, for me, I will always do 28mm if I can, and I would always prefer to play 28mm. But 15 or whatever, or epic. So I do have, I'm trying to think which ones I've got. So ECW is a classic example. So I have 28mm, I have 15mm, and now I have epic. All different scales, but same period.
Is that now? Is that because those releases came? Which one did you get first? Was it
15mm?
So then, what was you just saw the 28mm miniatures and you thought they were nice and therefore you wanted to do them in that, or was it just there were other people down the club who were playing?
Yeah, down the club.
And therefore,
it was the club drove that, so people were playing down the club 28mm. I think Alec, for one, has a good big 28mm army, and I just thought, knock up a couple of units of that, and then before I know it, I got quite a lot of figures. So that was very much driven by that, and I think most of my early figures were 15mm, more for the space than anything else. My Ancients, I've got the same, probably, huge 15mm collection, huge 28mm collection, same with the Napoleonics. So I don't know. I mean, for me, I would always try and do 28mm, but that ease is so much better.
I was going to say, Dak Ninja said, is it easier to paint the smaller scale? I mean, personally, when I'm painting the smaller scale, I wouldn't say it's necessarily easier, but it's just a completely different technique, and you've just got to, you're just applying a completely different method. So, for example, you're doing rough highlights rather than, say, more particular ones. It's more about the idea of a face rather than actually painting a face.
You say that'll do a lot more with smaller scale.
Yeah.
I said it with those camels, dude. I said that. Looking at a camel, it's just like, I've never looked at so many pictures of camels. It was an education. Steve, what about you? Would you ever do the same period in multiple scales?
Yes. And only recently. So what happened was, I've been working on, I think everyone knows me for doing 28mm bolt action. That's sort of my standard go-to, and I've enjoyed for many, many years. Then last year I got into O group 15mm, and I absolutely love painting 15mm figures. Whether it's with infantry, tanks, bigger stuff.
All right,
John, you need help.
That's a step too far for me. But then about 2 months ago, I had that idea to try and I solo played bolt action at 15mm using my O group figures, because the way I've based them is 2 figures per base, so 5 bases is a squad in bolt action. So it was really, really easy to build 2 forces for my German O group, my British O group. And I had a game of bolt action on a 15mm scale on a 4x4 table. And I'm not joking. It was fantastic. It was only a solo game, but I really, really enjoyed it. The scales, I kept the same scales as 28mm, worked. Tanks and vehicles were a lot more realistic, if that makes sense. Even tactics wise, when you're playing bolt action at 28mm on a 6x4 table, it's difficult to. I'm trying to think the best way to describe it without pissing a bunch of people off. You can't really apply tactics. You can't outflank. You can outflank as you come in off the table. But I found using 50mm on that 4x4 table, I was actually employing outflanking maneuvers and thinking about cover more. And it was a massive eye opener for me, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm trying to convince my mate he's 28mm all the way, but I'm trying to convince him to have a go at 15mm bolt action, because it was just, and the game didn't last anywhere near as long as a 28mm one for some reason. Using the same points, it seemed to be a lot more brutal at that scale. I don't know why. but it felt. I know people in the Facebook group. I was asking a lot of questions about ranges and scales, and do I, move it down, or do I, do I mess with the scale? A couple of people said no, leave it as it is, and it works. And I'll be honest, I was a bit dubious, but it does work. And so what I'm doing now is this is going to sound a bit mad. Like, I'm replicating as many of my bolt action lists at 28. I'm doing it for 15. So I'm going out buying the bits and pieces for example, my British 11th Armored Division. I just need to pick up a couple of half tracks, and I've got that exact army reduced to 15 mil, and I was surprised at how it worked. I mean, ordinarily I wouldn't have thought about doing something like that, but it was a test, and then that got me thinking that because I was gonna start playing Chain of Command at 15 mil, and I can do it now because I've got all the bits and pieces. But yeah, it's not something I'd do for every scale, but I think for me, I mean, Alex has said, yeah. I think Rich said this when he was on a couple of years back. So Chain of Command was written to a 15 millimeter ground scale, and it feels. That's what I when I did bolt action with that on the 4x4 table, it didn't feel crowded. Now, often if I play a game of 50 points, 28 mil bolt action, the table feels full. They feel unnaturally close to each other, rather than independent squads working towards their objectives and things like that. And it was an absolute total eye opener for me. It really was.
Okay.
But I've got to be honest. Dan's 10 millimeter fantasy stuff, as because what I've been doing, I was talking to a mate about this. I now want to replicate my 2 Warlords of Erewhon armies at 10 mil. It's because those, is it rock miniatures he uses? They are absolutely brilliant. But I mean, even having watched a couple of the show reports from the Joy of Six yesterday, and I can understand now why people do 6 mil gaming, because they're always fantastic setups. They always look really, really good. Especially that there was a Star Wars one yesterday. With the Battle of Scarif.
Scarif.
Wow, just unbelievably good. But I've not painted 6. I told you last week about what happened when last time I painted 6 mil. Was it last week? I painted about 12 bases, and then I put them all away and never looked at them again, and then they went missing. I'd love to have another go at 6 mil. I really would. I've always wanted to play, because back in the day I used to at our games club, I didn't have my own figures, but they used to play this Ancients game, and it was played on like a 2x2 table in 6 mil, and it always looked it was dead. It was minimal scenery, but it was just. I remember sitting down and watching. It was Vikings versus Zulus, and they were doing like different art. I know they were doing. What they used to do was they used to play.
I smell weird shit.
just play different periods against each other. And I've always wanted to, I mean, that was almost 30 years ago now, but I always just remember it looking really good. These little really small 6 mil armies, Ancients, on this 2x2 board, and it looked fun. But yeah, so I'm multiple scales. It's World War II for me.
Okay,
I do get what you're saying with the whole kind of smaller scale, and certainly the movement and the opportunity to be a bit more dynamic on the battlefield is a huge advantage. I still feel it loses something when for me, it loses something of the, because for me that it's the visual as well as the game that's important. And once it gets down to a very small scale, it is just a counter then for me. But that's my personal preference. But I
suppose this is where the modelling gaming aspect of things starts to take over. Ken, what's your view of it? Because you obviously painted your big French Napoleonic army, and then you were originally going to do the same in Epic. You were going to do French for that. So, I mean, what changed your mind? Other than, was it just you didn't want to do it, or is it something?
Yeah, it was just burnout side of things at that point. It's weird
because the idea of it is
cool.
But
I like the finished product. So if I could have a epic scale army that I didn't have to paint, I'd do that. Yeah, definitely. But look at me with my Marines. I've got 6mm Space Marines and I've got 28mm Space Marines, and I love them both for their own thing. They each play differently for me.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So, yeah, we'll talk about the epic stuff later on, but
yeah. Got that coming. I mean, I think it's probably me as a person. I do predominantly the first thing I look for if I'm looking at a new project. So I've been looking at a new project. I'm not even going to talk about it because the more I talk about it, the more likely it is to happen. I've gone down a right rabbit hole, and it's all because of late night TV. I was looking. The first thing I naturally look for, me personally, is 28mm. I always go and have a look for 28mm first. I have now looked at 15mm, but I've decided that the 15mm look crap. I want to paint. I like that. I like detail and dynamic poses. The reason, and I know you can get that at 15. I know you can get good levels of detail, but for me, I want to be able. I like taking the medieval stuff. I wanted to do all the intricate coats of arms because that's what I wanted to do. My idea of a medieval battle, medieval battles aren't as big as everybody thinks they are. Really, they're not massive affairs. When you compare it to say something from World War II or certainly a Napoleonic game or an ancient battle, medieval things is more like a bit like a brawl, like football hooligans going at it. So for me now, I seem to be leaning towards I'm very happy to just paint at 28 and play the biggest kind of game that I can. And I would rather, because I'm quite happy. This sounds a bit weird, but do you feel pressure to play with your entire collection of what you have? So I don't, but I know some people do. They try to put everything on the board. Well, I'm happy to leave things off the board to allow there to be room, or to have outflanking take place off the table and bring it on at 28. I'm happy to sort of play things that way. But it is interesting. Should we have a look at a couple? Because there's been a lot of comments. Surprisingly, opinions. And there's no right opinion except mine. No, but we will. We will be. No, I mean, if Yorkshire was here, I know what he'd be saying. Just buy a bigger house. So Big says, why would you stick to just one scale? You can do what you want, of course, but I just can't see it. And I agree. I just don't personally, for me, want to do the same army multiple times. Like I had a horrendous time doing Tartan. Why in God's name would I want to do it at a smaller scale? Or every project that you do, there'll be parts of it you don't like, and I can't see the point in replicating it at a smaller scale for me.
So here's the thing. So would you? I know you. Well, it's probably the wrong question for you because you've got both sides. But if you were to start a project and you had a 28mm Alexandrian army, and then you decided to do a 15mm compatible army, would you consider it fair enough to do a Persian army rather than you wouldn't do the Alexandrian, but you do a Persian too?
Oh, I see what you mean. If there was an opponent who had an Alexandrian 15mm army, then yes, I would, because I would consider that a different project, and I haven't already painted it.
Yeah.
To me, it comes down to, we're only on this planet for so long, I guess, and I want to paint as many different things as possible and have a wide collection. But that's just me personally. That's just the way, I guess actually the one thing I had painted at 2 scales was bloody Samurai.
Yes.
And and
look how well that went.
It was awful. It was so horrendous, in fact, that it's put me off painting anything else at that scale ever again. So yeah. Rich said he likes smaller scales for large scale battles to allow bigger armies. That's true. Or just bigger house, bigger table.
I mean,
but then
you
space
can
is
play big
well,
games you can play big games at 28mm, obviously, but you do have to little bit of modification. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Then Miller, what's Miller saying? Miller says, I told him it was about gingers in Wargaming. That's not actually true. If you look back in the chat, that wasn't me that said that. I just made a comment about you being like Victor Meldrew and always moaning. Shrink 7 makes a good point. It's easier for terrain if you stick to one scale.
That's very true. That is the biggest, I think, one of the biggest frustrations actually for me is swapping and changing is that you effectively have to double up on the terrain, or if you do 6 mil, then it's tripling up. That's a pain in the bum. It really
I
is.
did that. I'll be honest. My World War II 15 mil. The thought of having two scales and 2 lots of terrain for essentially the same period, that was quite annoying. But I've got enough now. I mean, the thing is though, a lot of the 28 mil scales well at 15 mil. So plough fields has become bigger plough fields. Trees become bigger trees. It's buildings that can be a bit of a pain in the arse. But I just bought some cheap ass TT combat ones, and they work really well.
Yeah. Where was it? Sorry, I've just lost the plot. Everything just went fuzzy for a second. No. It just looked rubbish, because the thing is, the British Army, this is another consideration, right? Is you got to think about the forces you're playing. The British Army would look so tiny in comparison. It'd be about 4 bases of stuff in comparison. I mean, yes, you get it on the table, but it would just, for me, I would find it. I wouldn't find. You know how Steve, you talk about lack of motivation to do things. You just find it so dull, and therefore it doesn't do anything for you. That's what smaller scale does for me. I do look at smaller scales, and I've already got a big by fire and sword 15 mil thing, which again isn't sort of why I've not really pressed the button on doing the pike and shot epic stuff for the 30 years war, because I've essentially got to 15 mil armies just for one specific game. But yeah, if I find it dull, and I will find that dull at 6 mil, I won't. I just don't see the point. I don't want to put myself through it.
I remember painting those 6 mil French. Yeah, maybe it was just because I was a lot younger back then. It was a bit of a different, paint wise. I despised painting them. They were horrible to paint. I didn't like them.
Okay, quick question here. Bleeko says he's interested in how many units we recommend for one infantry battalion in pike and shot. I mean, I know what I'd say. Dom, have you?
Sorry, how many
infantry?
I would say 3. 3 pike with their associated musketeers, but it can be up to you. And then
per battalion, per battalion?
Yeah, I would. So battalion being 9, like a brigade. Yeah.
So 9 units.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. No. 3 units.
No, because then the pike and the shot are kind of 1 unit, aren't they?
Yeah. See, I would say 4. I would say a pike block, 2 wings of musketeers, and then either a unit of commanded shot or a cannon or something to go with.
No, I'd go further than that, because that's the whole point of having the epic stuff or smaller scale is you can go bigger units.
But then I just have loads of battalion. I just have lots of battalion, lots of commanders. Because if you've got 9 units under one guy's command and he fails, that's 8 units that aren't moving. But again, we're down to the ins and outs of a system. So the answer is we completely disagree. Miller, you're the font of all knowledge on ECW. We'll let you answer this one in the chat. There are lots of good comments, which I think we should all go through. But shall we do that after the news? Because I looked at how many things we've got for the news, and it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot, and also I need some time to upload all of the photos.
Yeah, good mate.
9. What? So you'd have 3 divisions. So
basically 3 regiments, or 3 battalions. So you'd have pike and their 2.
Yeah, which is a regiment. A pike and the 2 wings are a regiment.
4 stands, isn't it? It's 4 stands.
Yeah.
3 times in 1 battalion, and then 3 battalions, and then have 3 battalions in the army.
That's what I would do.
So you'd have 27 units.
Yeah, that's what the big.
But then that's what the. But isn't a battalion? But a battalion is just 3. A battalion is just a pike block and the 2 wings, isn't it? That is a battalion.
No, I would have said that's
that's a regiment.
That's a regiment, not
and each regiment was within a battalion, wasn't it?
No, I always assume there's multiple regiments within a battalion.
Yeah.
So a battalion would be like a brigade in Napoleonics.
But then again, it's if you're using the wing, if you're going to use that bit where the pikes and the wings are one unit, or if you just go with 9.
Yeah, but they all move together, don't they? As a battalion move, so a battalion move. So you just move them all forward. It's only when you try and get tricky dicky and send one off for their musketeers in a different direction, or what have you.
Right, let's have a look at what we've got here. So let's have a look at the news. Still so sinister. It really, really is. All right, then, Dom, why don't you
I'll start off because I know you lot are going to bore everybody to tears at the end. So let me start with. Sorry, I didn't say that, did I? No, not at all.
Well, I need to upload these photos.
You need to upload. I'll take
lovely.
So these are Iron Duke miniatures by our friend Paul Hicks. This is a whole massive range that they're bringing out for. There's sort of a range of colonial wars, including in Africa. I think they're also in Afghanistan, various other conflicts that they're doing loads of figures for. So, load of infantry that just look amazing. I think Paul's excelled himself with these. Absolutely extraordinary. Look at the detail on those fellas. Absolutely amazing. And then also a range of cavalry, which are equally good. And I would imagine these can be used. I don't know enough about the period, but I would imagine a lot of these could be used across multiple periods within this era. Really, really sweet. Cape mounted rifles. There you go. Generals. And that's just a selection of them. So there's masses of them coming down.
Like
the
little green bastards, but on a horse.
Oh, they're just
really,
awesome,
really nice.
Really sweet.
Lovely.
So, yeah, that lot are in production. So, really pleased with those. I think Alex will be really delighted by this coming out. So, these are gone on pre-order. The Great War. I know he was moaning that they didn't have enough caps. Was it caps? Or I can't remember the headgear he was upset about. But, still, I think for the fact that the Wargames Atlantic figures are always very reasonable for what you get.
Yes.
So, that I don't know. It's interesting. I'd love to know how many people are doing World War One. Certainly in the sort of scale where you need 30 infantry. I know there's some periods that are using them fairly skirmish related, but I don't know. Interesting. So they're going on pre-order. August 31st, I think, is when they come out. So if you're interested in Great War, that's another one to tick the box. I think they've done Germans and French so far.
Lovely.
In that period. Medbury miniatures. I love Medbury miniatures. These are the latest. Again, these are get ready to drink, everybody. SDLs that are so basically you subscribe and get the STLs. But they have actually started to do physical prints.
Yeah, they're doing metal. Well, they do metals. Yeah.
Unfortunately, they aren't available in the UK yet, which is really annoying because I asked for a friend. Yeah, really sweet. So they're coming out.
If you had that choice then of getting them in that resin and the metal, would you get now you've had them in that resin? What would you do? Would you
I'd go
get them in metal instead? Yeah.
I would always go. I mean, the resin's not too bad, but I still prefer metal. I'd go metal every time. Sounds like you two. Okay, I'd go metal every time.
Absolutely.
And talking about 3D print, drink.
Yes. Now, I spoke to him about this a couple of days ago, actually, and I promised that we'd put them up. So I'm glad that you did. I checked again to see if you'd done it first.
Yes, this is your mate from Reconquer.
It is.
And this is a new. You probably know more than me. Then it's a sort of venture into fantasy stuff that he's doing as a special subscription type thing.
Kind of. So he started, mate. So I might get this wrong, and I'm sure he'll correct me. But he essentially started making and doing models for RPGs, for his own RPGs. He started making and sculpting his own characters and his mates' characters, and it essentially. What he plays the most of at the moment are like the Lord of the Rings. It's the Lord of the Rings and Lord of the Skirmish game. And he decided that he's done a lot of fantasy and a lot of it has been his own stuff. So this is a new Patreon. I think it's just going to be called something like Reconquer Fantasy. and it's just going to be one level because it's not his main one. I think it's going to be like $1 a month, and there's going to be one miniature a month basically, plus his welcome pack or other things. So it's just a small sideline, but you will get access. This is the welcome pack. So if you sign up for it, you get all of this. You get the files for all of this, which includes that massive dragon. And I don't know if you saw on his Facebook page, he put up how big that dragon is. If you know how big the Nazgul models are for GW, for the winged Nazgul, it's bigger than those, the wingspan. So it is massive.
I already asked him for a regiment of dwarfs.
Yeah,
I thought you'd like that dwarf somehow. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to do that. I think because I think the idea behind these is more for sort of role playing games. It's quite handy because I'm doing Rangers of Shadow Deep, so that's quite handy. But it's just an additional thing for him to. I mean, the guy he's busy and prolific. Obviously, as well, because I keep poking him, going, "Can I have a model, please? Can I have a model, please?" But yeah, I really like that one. You just put. I really like the wizard.
The wizard's nice.
Yeah,
really, really cool. But just something a bit different. But it's obviously he has a very distinct style, and the way he's got such a good eye for the movement on clothing and the way an armor works. It's cool. That guy is pretty sweet. So
he's amazing, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Over to you. I know there was also somebody will say the Victrix British Dragoon Cavalry, but I think we already talked about them. But they're actually shipping, I believe, now. So just in case anybody thinks we missed them.
Okay. Right. So before we bore Dom to death and half the chat. First of all, those of you who played the Chicago Way, which is of course the sort of gangster version of Dead Man's Hand, they've released some reinforcements for the Peaky Blinders.
I wonder who they could be.
What, being that they're called the Peaky Blinders?
Yeah, I know. Very nice. Shut up.
Ken, mic drop with those. So they're very cool. They've got lots of other photos over on their site. Battlefront are getting ready to do a live stream this week where they're going to release. We talked about this before, the Nordic forces for their World War III. What's it called? Team Yankee. So if you're into that, or if that's tempting you, then I think you need to check out their channel later in the week where they're going to do some reveals on their packs. So they're doing the Swiss, the Danish, the Norwegian, and the Finnish. All of which will be getting
that's a Swedish tank, though, isn't it?
That is a Swedish tank.
Yeah.
Tank destroyer, you decide. But
sorry, Swedish, not Swiss. Swedish.
I was going to say.
Yeah, no, not Swiss. The Swiss are just going to stay neutral, eat chocolate, and watch everybody else just batter themselves senseless. Of course, I'm going to be running Bushido over at CrackCon, and they've just started their newest wave of releases. I think this is like wave 40 now. So this is fortunately for my faction, and this is for the Cult of Uri. And I can't remember what this miniature is called, but essentially you get the creepy woman holding the lantern, and then she throws the lantern at someone, and if it hits, then that freaky ghost hunts that person around the board for the rest of the game.
Bloody hell.
But I just really like that. They have a lot of these models actually that come in twos. So if you a lot of them have spell effects or things, and the spell effects come with the miniature. It's not sold as a separate. So if someone's got like a fireball, they'll come with them. So I've got another character who has a little marionette puppet on a 30mm base, but the miniature is probably like a 6mm mini, and that marionette just runs around the battlefield. And if I can get it to touch someone, I get to take control of that character and have him run around. So that's the thing that Stee is immune to with his faction. I'm not very happy about. 150 people watching, guys. Thank you very much.
Wow,
Hit the like
that's
button.
A new record. Well done.
Remember to hit the like button and come join the
subscribe
Facebook
to
group.
our channels if you
subscribe to our channels. And that would be lovely. Now, okay. Oh no, wait. Actually, no. Yes, here we go. So. I don't know what Warhammer Fest or what thing it was at the weekend. There seems to be one of these like every month. I swear.
There does. They're very, very frequent.
It was 40 years of fantasy was this weekend.
Well, what we're talking about isn't fantasy, but
it was 40 years.
Yeah. So GW now we occasionally mention them or talk about history, but they're new releases. But there's been a fairly big thing announced. But first of all, I thought I would pop up a couple of pictures because I know there's some people waiting for the old world, and a new Bretonian got announced.
Yes.
There you go. I'm not the biggest fan.
It's a man on a horse. That's all I thought.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I used to have
I like the periscopes personally.
I'm a bit underwhelmed, but I mean, how can you be underwhelmed by that helmet? But I still am.
I would just buy the Claymore castings stuff and use them as Bretonians because they got awesome knights.
I don't know why they're showing the Bretonians. They're bigging them up so much. I would have thought they'd gone on to the Tomb Kings, but people.
I'm sure that that'll be good. Dom, are you deleting things?
Yes, mate.
Sorry, everything keeps on moving up. Every time I try to click on something, it's like a ladder. It keeps on moving up the page.
I'll stop doing it.
Then there's a new army, isn't there? Cities of Sigmar. It's not a new
Sigmar,
army.
yeah.
They give it to Cities of Sigmar. There were loads of new releases for it, but I thought I quite like this thing. I don't know what it is. I think it's like the barman in the Tiger Bar. He's an alchemite warforger. I don't know what he is, but he looks.
He does magic basically.
Okay, he does magic. Cool.
He does.
And I think that was it. Actually, there wasn't anything else.
Nothing else. Nothing else. Move along now, please, gentlemen.
Right. So Ken and I sent this to them. Had you two seen this before I sent?
Yes.
Yeah, I was watching it. I was watching it live.
About 30 seconds before you sent it.
People now. Hello,
welcome. Fanboy moment coming here.
So Epic has had a new release, which is Legion Imperialis, which is essentially Epic 30k.
The right time to do Horus Heresy.
Exactly the right scale, the right time, the right period. Everything is right with this.
And all we've been talking about is what Legion are we going to be?
So I've got some pictures. Look, I'll put this one up here. So there they are. There's the Diddy little fellas. Fortunately, in this image, you can't see as well the horrific integral bases that was on the other one. But I really like the little dreadnought. I think it's quite cute, quite funny. So it reminds me of Batteries Not Included. If you've seen that,
dreadnought.
So I take it you will both be partaking.
Oh,
in this.
Yes.
As soon as I saw it was out in August, I nearly dropped dead. I was like, 1 month? Is that it?
I think it was it either last year or the year before that I made the statement that the only game that would get me back into playing Games Workshop games was if they re-released Epic. And they did it. So no, I am genuinely, because I've got good memories of the original Epic. I absolutely love the Horus Heresy lore, and I am just so interested in this. It's unbelievable. I just don't know. I'm surprised it's out so early. I thought this was going to be 4 or 5 months down the line, not in
Christmas. I thought,
yes.
And then they said they kept it so quiet.
So I assume they've just been distracting people, like all of you with the old world, like dangling it, going, look at this nostalgia,
and then here's some more sci-fi.
Releases. Jesus, that was loud.
Sorry.
Wow.
No, I can honestly say I am. Yes,
I'll admit I am more. If I was going to pick up a science fiction 40k, 30k rather thingy, I'm more tempted to do this. Simply again, now we talk about scales. I see, and I enjoy the Horus Heresy novels. I really do. I've said before. I think that this would better represent what goes on in the
it does.
What better goes on
battles,
in the Heresy?
Doesn't it?
This is compatible with Adeptus Titanicus, isn't it? And with the flying one, the flying
Imperialis.
Yeah. So it is compatible, which I'll admit did surprise me that they didn't make it scale. Really look at Dom's face.
Okay, Martin, put that picture back up. I was having a debate with my mate on Saturday afternoon when this was released. Dom's drinking himself into oblivion here. So, what? See the on
Need
bottom
another
right.
beer.
Bottom right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
What are they?
they are
they are solar
Imperial-
auxilia painted.
Imperial
because,
Army, basically.
Yes, that's what we thought they were. Yeah.
Imperial Army.
There's some heavy sentinels from the
Oh, my
solar auxilia.
word.
So
We were
yes.
discussing whether or not moving forward they'll start doing specific Imperial Army, like the Chiliad or the Lucifer Blacks. Something.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
yes.
That'd be
The
cool,
what?
wouldn't it? The
The
Lucifer
the
Black,
what?
the
No,
Chiliads.
The Chiliad.
What's that? The Chiliad. That's
The
not a
Imperial
thing, is it?
Army. Yeah, it's
Chiliads.
Imperial Army
They're-
regiment.
Yeah, they're from the
Chiliad 500.
yeah, they're from the book with the Alpha Legion.
He's just making it up now, isn't he?
Hey, I am John Chromaticus.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But yes,
Like the heresy stuff.
I'm looking for.
Um,
What am I? I'm sat here putting together Games Workshop scenery while gushing and getting over.
Games
moist
what's going
over
on?
it.
They've done
I
it.
know.
They've somehow hooked us into their bloody their cycle of being. But
Well-
they compared to the old Epic stuff. So the old Epic 6mm. This is the new stuff's 8mm.
8mm, yeah.
It's 8mm. So it's a bit bigger. But I don't think there's any reason because it's a 25mm round base by the look of it.
Yeah.
25mm square. It's the same. Do you know what I mean? You can use the old stuff. You'll be able to use your old armies. But I think the nice thing about this is it'll be a fresh start and you can start another Legion or whatever you want. I'm hoping they do the Custodes because I'd like to do that.
So this is going to be like the current Horus Heresy thing. It's going to be not a big release, is it? It's going to be more like a specialist game. It's going to get releases every now and then.
Yeah.
It'll be like the old world. For they'll get.
They should in the rule book though. They should in the rule book have the rules for the.
You'd hope so.
You'd hope so.
you would friggin' hope so. But if not, I'm still printing off some custodians. So yeah.
Well, do you not
books.
think maybe they'll do what they did with the Horus Heresy one, which is where they'll release a main rule book and then release a book for the heretics and a book for the loyalists, and just do that? Essentially, just do exactly the same but at a smaller scale.
Yeah, probably. But the good thing is you can use obviously both for each one. So the same kit will do both, but you just chaos it up a bit, don't you, and grime it up a bit. Depends which Legion you go with. Really,
I am interested. I personally, I'll wait to see how well supported it is and how.
What's on the rule book?
Where it goes. I know they said that the rule book initially would just be. I mean, I know you said you could just buy the box and then flog them off, but everyone knows that if you buy that box, you're just going to paint them. You're just going to get them out. There's no way you're just going to sell them. I mean, you could donate them to Dom. I'm sure he.
Yeah.
I have been debating what Legion to paint mine up in now. I mean, I'm like 90% Death Guard or 10% Lunar Wolves or Sons of Horus. I'm not quite sure yet.
Yeah, Sons of Horus do sound quite good.
See, my only thing, and this is my problem is that at that scale, if I was going to do something like this, and this is the same for if I'm doing my historicals, I like to add details and things like that. You're not going to be able to get the individual little Legion details. So like the Emperor's Children, with all their really, really flamboyant shoulder pads.
No.
Unless you do some things, some green stuffing. With the Space Wolves, you're not going to have all of the wolf pelts and little bit, unless you sculpt them on, which would be kind of.
There are other third-party suppliers that do those already.
That scale.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's okay. So that's cool. So that is.
It is a thing. You can do it. You can find them. There is the thing. So especially for like the fucking hell, Night Lords. They got their unique armor, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've got some flash. They got stuff for that. Pretty much every Legion you can think there's stuff out there for. I've done a lot of research.
Yeah.
So it's just picking the one you want to do. I just don't
know. I'm going to. Well, basically. These two are really excited. I'm kind of interested.
You're getting there, aren't you?
And pensive. And Dom is so thrilled that his brain has melted and he can't talk.
Yeah.
So
it's good. I mean, good for you. I mean, if you get all excited about it, fabulous. Good for you. I don't understand a word that you've been talking about the last 10 minutes, but it's fine. That's fine.
It's not IP theft, Luke. I just got to point this out. It's not IP theft. If someone's made their own files that are alternatives, I wouldn't class that as IP theft. As long as they've not copied it.
Can you hold your head still, mate? You keep wandering in.
I haven't moved.
Well,
I'm standing still.
1 minute you were really
What's wrong
loud.
with
the
this
next minute,
fucking mic?
I think you need to send it back. Someone saw you coming.
Ken, you need to duct tape the mic with his hats and
Oh,
stuff.
it's so annoying.
Oh, Ken,
Well,
please
so-
get some sellotape like Johnny Depp in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, where he's got the entire thing strapped to his
I
head.
bet he hasn't seen that film.
Of course he won't.
Ken?
Nope.
Nope. Right.
God.
Of course, I just want to mention again that we are sponsored by the lovely people over at Boards and Swords. So I dare say that set will be on pre-order from Boards and Swords, just like a lot of the other things are. So remember, if you watch Plastic Crack Podcast, you can go over to Boards and Swords and enter the code PCP5, and then whatever you're buying, whether it be Epic Warlord or Epic GW or Epic Failure, I don't know, you can then just get an additional 5% off on top of whatever Ian does. And I do know that Ian obviously does have a bit of a discount on GW stuff, not as big as he does on other ranges, because I don't think
It's
the
GW.
markup's quite as good. But if you go over there and you're from PCP, you might just be able to snag yourself one of those box sets on pre-order. So just keep an eye out for it over on the Boards and Swords Facebook group. Right, should we get to some of the other comments on the main thing? We can re-engage Dom.
So
So the
did
first
someone
one
answer
up-
the question? Sorry, just before we move on, because I am interested. So that those figures, how do they differ from Ken? You had those little tiddly epic stuff or Warhammer stuff. What's the difference?
They're bigger. They're a little bit
Well,
bigger.
Yeah,
And they've got a bit more detail by the looks of it.
And it's
different poses.
but it's the same
system.
Yeah.
They are apparently keeping the same system, but it's basically it's a different period within the universe. It's a set 10,000 years before the other one, so
It's taking it back to 1991, basically the original Space Marine book.
You know, essentially what they've done is, because there's the Horus Heresy book series, which is incredibly popular, they're just basing it in that, so that everybody who reads that and just wants to play that can just do that. Essentially. Which from a marketing point of view, I think is probably to be honest, I think they should have just gone this way and not bothered with the 28 mil with the 28 mil release. Personally,
Agreed.
But then there's lots of people who like painting up big chunky Space Marines because they want to paint all that detail. like me. Do you think you're going to get the little Diddy Primarchs running around?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I too can be a superhuman with daddy issues. Yes.
Oh, we could all be that. Who isn't? Right. Glindor. Can we have a painting chain church challenge for CrackCon?
Oh, there's a thought. I like that.
How many churches can we get in there? We've got 60 people coming, haven't we? 60 churches?
Yeah, 60 churches.
Well, maybe we should. Maybe we should.
That's a good thought.
Renedra suddenly get to sell out of those churches. That's something to think about. That would be quite cool. Shring7 says it's definitely easier for terrain to do one scale. He does 15 and 28, but but many theaters, i.e. terrain types. Yep. Completely agree. That obviously it sticks to it. I don't know if I'd let it dictate. It would be a consideration down the line. Like something I've always wanted to do is the Great Northern War. And I was looking at different scales to do that in, and then of course think I need to get a lot of stuff in the snow. And the only stuff I had in the snow was for my Carthaginian project, and then of course that just went down the toilet. So I don't really think that's what is that noise?
Sorry,
is that Steve?
That's Steve rooting in his bits box, I think.
You can hear the crunch of the vegetables as he moves into to one side.
It's the soul leaving of his.
Benjamin said, "What is painting supposed to be enjoyable? Not the way you do it. Absolutely not." John says he plays Ancients in 28 mil, ACW in 28 mil, World War II in 15 for Battle Group, and 6 mil moderns. 6 mil moderns.
That's
I suppose given the weaponry, I suppose as well. Yeah, given the weaponry in modern games, that would make
the ranges would be so much. Yeah, absolutely. I think that would make perfect sense in a way.
Yeah, I am surprised. not to go back to the epic thing, that we don't see more sci-fi stuff in those scales. I mean, there are sci-fi games in that, and there's nothing to stop you, for example, doing Xenos Rampant at that at 6 mil or smaller scales. But 28 mil definitely seems to be the preferred.
I suppose you've got space games, haven't you? Space ships.
Yeah. No, it's
So-
just Max one. Yeah, Max one that Mac does on the group.
yeah.
Of course.
What scale is Drop Zone Commander?
2, I think.
Oh yeah, that's
Or
pretty
6.
small, isn't it?
It's 2. I think it's 2. isn't it?
No, it's 6.
Or is it 6? 2 or 6?
Yeah, 6.
Oh no, I'm thinking of the one that's up in space. Drop Fleet.
Oh, Drop Fleet.
Drop
You're
Fleet.
thinking
That's Drop
of.
Fleet. Yeah. Alex says that 80% of his stuff is 15 mil, but he has plenty of other scales: 32, 28, 6, and 3. Having one predominant scale makes collecting terrain much easier. Yep.
Yeah,
Again, absolutely. I mean, that's it. My predominant one is 28, unsurprisingly, and I have a lot of very generic terrain. Dom, I think you're the same way. Lots of hedges, roads, and
even buildings you can use across multiple periods. It is. Terrain is definitely a consideration. I think when you're jumping around periods, for me anyway, I find that quite off-putting.
Couldn't agree more. Flimsy Wargame, that's a great name. Scale depends on the project. He does 10 mil for O group to give the big battlefield. Chain of Command in 15 for a nice empty battlefield, but still handleable. And War of the Roses in 28 mil for lots of character in the Lords. Yeah, and I think that's actually a good. Again, rule sets.
I think you solved it. Let's move on.
There we go.
Done.
What do we have here? Dice Dad's Hobby Corner. Evening, chaps. I love the way different scales.
Got Windsor Davis there. Look at him. Brilliant. I love it. Sorry, I'm excited there.
That's right. Playing the same era in different scales produces really rich and varied gaming. All the terrain is a drag, though. This seems to be a common thing that comes up. I didn't really think about when I did the subject. Is the terrain. Absolutely. Robin, he has World War II in 6, 10, 15, 20, and 28. Yeah, that's called a problem.
He's just mad. That's all.
That is one aspect is certain scales for certain projects, e.g. smaller scales for the desert. There's also an element of wanting to paint a particular range of minis. Very true. Very true. Drop Zone is actually 10 mil. Okay.
There you go.
There we go. Excellent. Don says he uses 28 for skirmish size games, 15 mil or epic for large battles. That's pretty good, I suppose, of just if you're sorting it.
Yeah. Again, very sensible. I can see the logic of that.
It does. Again, mine comes down to miniatures, though, that are produced because I just don't want to paint ugly miniatures. And the new project I might potentially be doing, the models look crap, in my opinion, at 15 mil. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I think they look. I was about to say gash. Well, there you go. so
that's why. I mentioned earlier about playing bolt action at 15 mil.
Yeah.
Use Battlefront plastics. They look nice. They work as like an abstract thing for O group, but they also work really well together as individual soldiers for bolt action. And they're definitely not crap.
No, these ones just looked. Sorry, Dom. Go on.
No, carry on, mate.
The ones I saw just look really flat. And it's a very specific war, and there isn't a lot of manufacturers out there, so you're limited on options. So
is it the Emu Wars?
Absolutely not.
Being found out, it's the Emu.
Absolutely not. No, it's absolutely not. No, and I'll shut up because it'll become.
I think the thing with manufacturers generally, it felt. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like 28 mil and larger, or 25 to 28 mil to 30, whatever they are, really.
He's dead.
No. Has taken huge leaps and bounds in terms of sculpts and how good quality they are, and really nice things. And it's taken a little while for 15 mil to catch up with that. So it's only fairly recently. You look back at some of the sculpts that 15 mil had were pretty rubbish.
Yeah.
But you look at some of the stuff now, the Battlefront and what have you doing, some of the what is it, steel, some Blue Moon figures. There's some really, really nice sculpts out there now for 15 mil. And I wonder whether that is also changing people's attitude to scales, because they really are nice figures. Whereas they never used to be. They're just blobs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's have a look at what's next. Lionheart. I've always stuck to 28mm as it's my favorite. I never thought I would go smaller until I got the Epic ACW, and now will not collect a 28 ACW, so I don't see the point in the same project. So you're in kind of the same camp as me there. I get, I completely get that. I do understand sort of where you're coming from with that. So nice one, Steve. He says he's looking more and more at 6mm. Partly storage. I mean, fair enough. Partly storage, partly mass battle effect. I mean, when you're punching it into the table because you hate the miniatures so much, it's all going to look the same. Mainly smaller tables, just change it. Yeah, but it's true. Your gaming space is going to have a big effect on what you play, and that was the whole point in the Epic. Reign when Warlord did that, wasn't it? I mean, obviously, we had that big debate, the fact that you could still, it isn't anything new and you could still do it, but they releasing it in plastic as a succinct battle set was something that a lot of people wanted. So Robin said, I also think this will change more with 3D printing and the ability to buy a single model and rescale it to reuse it several times. I'm out of beer. So yeah, absolutely.
So there's an interesting question. How many people in the chat would actually do that? So say you get hold of some STLs or a nice Napoleonic range. Would you ever print exactly the same figure in 28mm, 15mm, 6mm?
Yeah.
Paint it 4 times.
Yeah. 3 times.
Paint it 28 and 6. Yes.
Okay.
28 and 6.
I don't think I'd have the will to do that, but it's interesting.
It is. I don't know if I would. I mean, no, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just left on that. I don't know.
You're just going to be really decisive on that one. Well done.
Yeah. Flimsy Wargame. That's such a great name. 28mm can still be a big battle. Don't let Yorkshire Gamer catch you saying otherwise. It does take more time, money, and space, though, of course. But if you enjoy it as a longer project, then no problem. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, a bit like with you, Tom, I like the detail that you get with 28, the kind of the obviously the vignettes that I can create, which you can do at smaller scales, I know, but I like a nice big massive 28mm game, 12-foot table, when you're down the club or at CrackCon, then you can it does look awesome to have that on there. Battle Mat, putting it there. I'd rather buy a bigger house and try and save space than by playing 6mm.
Do you know what I like about 6? I mentioned this with the Ancients game before. I like the idea of the smaller playing area. In fact, I'll be honest. Recently, I've been looking at more games like that. So, like Space Weirdos 2x2, ideal for me. Because sometimes I think I just enjoy the more smaller games, the smaller skirmish games, the lower figure count games, which is predominantly going to be a 28mm if you're playing skirmish. But in other words, I have been looking at the smaller scale. I mean, I'd love to play like Warlords of Erewhon at 10mm. I think that'd be really, really good. I think visually it would look quite good as well. So there's definitely options out there. Like I say, I am actually doubling up on what I've already painted. Just doing it at a smaller scale.
Okay. That is interesting. Sorry, I was just looking at another couple of the comments, which it's gone crazy, the comment section. You guys have really been engaged in this one. Trey Jansit said, got both fleets for Coral Seas plus Air in 1/6000 scale, but it's normally you're a 28mm advocate. Good man.
I can see that again. I can see with Air and ships, apart from Ken, who's obviously obvious exception with his boat fetish at the moment. Not you, Ken, the other Ken. But doing sort of naval and air wars in a smaller scale kind of makes more sense because they tend to take place over a much larger area.
Well, also the minis wouldn't fit on your table if they were scaled the other way.
Yeah. Well, even things like Victory at Seas is pushing it on the scale. Really, I mean, if the gun ranges are completely, fantasy compared to what they would have been. So, but it's that combination of having a playable scale, and the models people can play with. But yeah, interesting. I would definitely do smaller scale with the with things like naval
scales with naval and air. Did I dream this, or did this actually happen? Did Warlord release Blood Red Skies at Airfix scale, model scale?
Yeah, they did.
There was something about that. You're right.
I thought I might have dreamt that or made it up, or
I didn't know whether it's actually for a game or whether they just branded it as such. I don't know.
The moment I see anything about a boat or a plane, I just scroll past it. So can't tell you.
No, it was interesting because remember that conversation we had at CrackCon? I think it may have been. It was early in the night, but it still may have been a bit beer fueled, and it was playing bolt action firefight at 54 mil.
Oh yeah.
And then we were on about 3D printing the scenery, and then I said about that. I read somewhere about we could use action men in the back garden, and then get put on a special watch list.
That was quite late at night, that discussion. I can tell.
That was in the Tiger Bar. I think that was in the Tiger Bar. Josie says he thinks product scale availability is what drives most people. Fair enough. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's
a good
point.
That is a good point. Rob says
if you get into more unusual periods, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, which is what I'm thinking of. Napoleonic 2 mil at 1 mil. Right? Napoleonic 2 mil at 1 mil to 1 year brings a whole new perspective. Units look like units, not a few figures on a representative stand. That's true.
I guess
absolutely.
That's an interesting. I have seen people do that with the smaller, very small scale figures, literally almost 1-to-1 figure to man, and that does a different. That definitely does bring something very different to the game.
Yeah,
very different.
Yeah. Old school says AWI in 28 for the different uniform details, ACW in 15 for the identical massed units. That's a good point. If all your troops are wearing the same kind of thing, and you haven't got that. You haven't got all that, livery and different camo schemes. That's a good point. Lionheart says you do like the size of the battles at smaller scale, but for me, it's the visual aspect of the hobby is my biggest draw, and seeing big battles in 28 stirs the imagination.
Yep.
I was going to get through all these, and then we'll go on to some pictures. Daniel says he has naps in 6, 10, 12.5, 15, 28, and 40. And he caught himself looking at 2 millimeter this morning. Please send help.
Can I just say,
I think you're beyond help.
Can I just say I officially have chest pains reading that comment?
Can you imagine all the drummers, mate? I mean, geez.
Yeah, absolutely.
Drummers everywhere.
I've printed the same buildings at 28 and 15. Yeah, terrain. I definitely would. I'd print at multiple scales, especially if it's generic. Daniel then said he's done the same thing with piano wargame minis.
That's the different scale sizes. Yeah.
James Shako says he rescales vehicles, but he doesn't often rescale minis as they tend not to work scaled down too far. 28 mil will stretch down to 20 mil, but not really to 50. There is true because there's things to do with details and the way the models are positioned that they can just start looking a little bit weird. I did scale one up to 54 mil, one of my minis, and it worked. And I scaled it down to 15, and the 15 just didn't look right, and that's because of the details that were on it. It just kind of lost it basically. Kevin said no.
What's
that? Is that to
that's to whether you would change to do the same scale?
Yeah.
Or figures
Red says not yet, but give him time and a mad project.
And a bit of beer, maybe. That would probably
walkabout. I do it all the time, Dom. I do 28 mil to 15. Excellent. Leslie, man, a few words.
Yep.
No. Dom bigger city. I probably would if I was going to play something in 15mm for large battles, but then also want to do 28mm for the muskets and tomahawks, some other skirmish games. Yeah, and I think this is for as ranges, you do get more 3D printable ranges, and you just have that stock of files, and I guess this will become a bigger and bigger thing. Joseph, I rescale, but sometimes it doesn't work out as well. Yeah, that's pretty much like the experience I had.
Yeah.
Luke, yeah, he'd just rather buy more 28mm. I feel you. Nearly there. Stoic Steve, I use a few scales, but I think I spend the same amount of time painting whatever the scale. At small scales, I have more figures to paint. Good point.
Same quality of paint. Interesting.
Same thing. Carl says, I did have Ancients in 15 and 6, but decided that was a dilution of effort and got rid of the 6mm. I support your choice. The horror. Rich said he has a large pile of opportunity in 28 that I do not think I'll ever get round to trying anything in another scale. That's another thing as well. There's such a big pile of stuff to get through.
You don't need. Yeah, you can carry on. Don't worry. Just keep getting more.
Storm of Steel, Alex, Juicy Creed did a 28mm galleon battle at one of the American shows last year. He had them mounted on 3-foot high stands.
Gee whiz.
That's a lot. That is
insane.
And that was a lot of ways. Thank you so much, everyone, for getting so involved in that one. Should we have a look at some photos, especially because Ken forgot to do it last week? So
yeah, that'd be a good idea.
I think it would be because again, Ken forgot to do it last week. So
did Ken forget to do this last week? I
don't know. I got so many. I got 3 messages from 3 separate people saying, "Oh, I really wanted to see my stuff." Then there were the comments in the Facebook page, which I noticed that Ken just didn't comment on or go anywhere near. So yes, we will have. So,
I'm just a bit of an arsehole. I apologise. I do apologise.
Well, and there you have it. That's the
We're
first
saying no more than that.
So let's have a look at it. So always some awesome stuff in there. If you're new to the stream, when you're on the Facebook page, just post up what you're working on or what you're doing, whether that's games or work in progress or painting. We can't put everybody's photos up because there are just so many, but we often go through and we'll save things through the week, and we just want to share what some people are working on. So I put this up. I thought this was ace. So Blacks has done the Silver Surfer. It's the zombie version of the
zombie version.
That's cool.
That is
bizarre.
That is cool. That is very. This is for zombies, the Marvel zombie side. I take it, but that is ace. That is very very.
That's
cool.
a lovely figure. Is that? I really like that.
It is, isn't it? It's very cool. Andrew has been working on some Spartans, and that front rank has definitely had some Persians run into them.
I was going to say, either that, I've had a few nosebleeds. Maybe
really nice. But I think it just looks cool. I also just like the battle damage on the shields as well. Really nice. That bronze is lovely.
Yeah,
really nice. Really nice. Andy has been working on another glorious day in the core. So you've got his aliens over there, and there's his colonial marines that are just, let's face it, waiting to die. It's in there. So fantastic. I'd like to see some more of that as you get through them. Christopher, more French. Look at that. He did say that the sort of the step up from 24-man units to 36-man units is a bit of a deal break. Like, it is a bit of a pain. That additional 12 is a bit killer.
Because every 2 units he does with that, he could have had 3 units of his 24s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I just saw Gary's comment. I don't post photos of my figures if I know Ken is hosting the next Monday.
Sensible man.
Now Craig did a whole bunch of sort of fantasy-based miniatures for RPGs, and they're from Hassle-Free Minis. But I had to pick this one because it's got the Skyrim helmet.
Oh yeah.
So I really like that. Hassle-Free do make some lovely miniatures. I have got a load of them for various RPGs. So that's very, very nice. David has been working on some Duchy of Warsaw stuff.
Oh, nice.
Lovely.
Very
Really nice work. I do like seeing some artillery.
Those
Really
guns are
nice.
really good, particularly good. Like
There
that.
seems to be I think he's done a lot of work on the actually on the the cannon itself. It's just really nice and outline. Way more than I do, anyway.
Particularly, I noticed particularly the iron band around the wheel rings. I always botch that up, and that's really well done.
Do you do what I do? Just paint silver around it. Then when that goes wrong, just slap mud on it.
Exactly what I do. Exactly.
Absolutely. Dan, you were talking about these early steeds. So there's some of his 10mm Bretonians. Lovely work.
I am going to relent. I really am, because they are just. Dan, when you've finished everything, can you post everything you've painted in one photograph?
Nice
I'd love to see all these in like fully completed. It'd be fantastic.
I love it. I love this one. So this is Don. He did this the other day when I was in my stream. I do like Infinity, and this is one of the Hack Islam models. I really do like Infinity miniatures. They are just really cool. That is lovely. Really nice. Essentially a science fiction Saracen, because all their characters, I think there is like a Saladin character. All their vehicles are named after sort of old heroes in their units. You've got like the Gulam, like the Black Guard, and everything. So that is really cool. Very nice. Edward, Blood Bowl. He's been playing some Blood Bowl. We like to see. Fantastic
Game that. Yeah.
Lovely. How's your Orc Blood Bowl team coming on, Steve?
Is there a tumbleweed gif that I can post at the moment? I've got.
We can get one.
Oh, cheers, Dan. I've got 3 to paint, but I just don't.
I just don't wanna.
I've been painting them for 6 years.
Ian has been doing some solo zombie side. He's created some of his own walls, and he's also added 3D terrain to the board, and that looks awesome.
That is brilliant.
Really nice. It'd be interesting to see you play that solo, actually. That'd be really cool. You're like these. We were talking about 30k. James has done some of his 30k Death Guard, and I loved the weathering on these models, especially on the Dreadnought on the left.
Nice.
Really nice. Very cool. Joe has been working on some Epic. There you go. He's getting through here. Is that new? I'm going to go. Is that Newcastle's regiment? Is that the White Coats?
Yeah, it could be
Newcastle.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that
until I get shot.
Until
corrected. Flames. Kill corrected. So John, he's not done any painting for a while. Of course, his painting is fantastic because he does a lot of the Victrix. He does a lot of the paint jobs for Victrix, but he sent this around. And I love this little fella. Look at that.
Oh, I love it.
That is cracking. But do you know what my favourite part of that is? The axe blade. I know the face.
Oh yeah.
But I love.
Oh my goodness.
Axe blade.
I actually hadn't looked at that, but now you pointed out. Wow.
I just love it.
That is brilliant.
Really nice. That's an Oathmark dwarf. Really nice.
Do you remember them, Ken?
Work.
Just saying. Do you remember them?
Comment.
Hey, I was right. Look. Yeah. Oh, and Hart, and so Miller, and then Harper. Yay.
There we go.
There you go. I listen to you, Miller, when you talk about it. I do. Ken Riley did some big boats for the not windy boat game. I guess I assume he's not actually playing that, and he's playing something completely different because I can't see him playing a Warlord game. So really nice. Very
Awesome.
cool.
Really.
Next up, Lee John, Vampire, for Age of Sigmar, and these from they're from the Cursed City game, aren't they? I think. So I like that. It's a swarm of bats. Very cool. Leslie has been doing some Wars of the Roses. So
nice.
Excellent choices as a command stands. Do I see a Tudor there on the?
There's definitely a Tudor in the back there. Yeah.
There's I think this I think this is Jasper Tudor here on the left with the star on that. Good old Jasper. Really nice work though. Lovely. Look forward to seeing those. Nathan, I like this. He's done some work on his Athens.
Oh, I like
no,
that.
no, it's not Nathan. Is that Nathan?
No,
it's no. Sorry, buggered the name up. I can see what I've done here. I think I've actually written down the next three people down as Nathan.
Well done, Nathan. You've been very productive this week.
well done. Well done. It is. So bear with me. It is. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to get it right. I've got it here.
So, Steve, what legion are you going to choose?
Oh, shut up.
It's Nick.
Very nice, Nick. Well done.
Now here's Nathan, but this is actual Nathan, I believe. Right. This is real Nathan. I'm so sorry.
Not Nick Nathan.
I'm so sorry.
Nathan.
So yeah, for all intents and purposes, everyone else is Nathan now. He's working on his Tyranids. So I assume he's got the life. What I love most about this is look at all the pinks and blues. You can probably tell he's painting paint pots in the background. You can tell he's painting Tyranids without even actually looking at the models. Just looking at the paint choice. Quiet, Paul. Quiet, you. Yeah, sodding Tudors, absolutely. Oh, it's just the whole a trinity of Nathans. That is the correct. Yeah. See, I've put this down as Nathan Mackay, but I know it's Paul. I don't know why. So there we go. So Paul, he's worked on a vampire as well. I think this is from the same set as the other one. So this is a Warhammer mini. I mean, that is awesome. Look at the wings.
Just extraordinary.
Look at the wings.
Very nice. Colours.
Very, very nice.
Now, I've seen this already because I saw some of his work in progress pictures on this. This is Robin's Sexton little base.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
So that's they're 20 mil. Wow. I think the tank is Plastic Soldier Company and the Mena AB, I think. But I love that. That is awesome, and the work he's done on the paneling and the weathering is just so
lovely
cool.
job, isn't it?
Cracking job,
fantastic stuff. Now, Phil had a game of Assyrians versus Egyptians, and I was trying to find a picture that sort of showed everything, and this was the closest one I could get. But really, really nice. Not sure if he's playing what he's playing there. I assume it's Hail Caesar, but it'd be really nice to. I couldn't see in the post, but very, very cool. Really nice.
Fantastic. Gotta love a chariot, haven't you?
Steve was playing What a Cowboy.
Nice.
So I say get some of your get your games up on here as well. Our friend Stu, he's been getting ready for CrackCon. He's been painting up his Churchills. So we've got those coming. Unbased, you can see unbased.
Well, he obviously hasn't finished them. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Clearly not finished.
Clearly. Tut is now, sir. You're a madman. French hussars. Many.
Oh, yeah, now. That's a lot.
Lord.
I mean, that is a lot. I mean, again, I've still only ever done one unit of hussars, and that's
more than enough for anybody.
But fantastic, really nice. And then to finish it off, Tony has showed up one of his classic Bretonians, which is the lady, essentially Joan of Arc, but really nice. And I love the yellow and the blue. Really nice. Lovely work. So everyone, thank you so much for sharing those. And remember to just pop them up on the Facebook page. We're getting towards 1,100 people now. Over
really?
There. Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Crikey.
I did have a look. So remember, if you're not a member and you want to be, you got the link down below. You'll also find a link to all our channels. You'll find a link to Boards and Swords as well. Remember to use that code PCP5. Guys, I think that brings us pretty much to the end. Where are we next week? It's a new month. Where are we going to be? Oh,
it's Steve, isn't it?
It's me. Steve. I think it's me.
Yeah, I think
it's Steve. So we will get the menu up for the coming month. We've got some nice surprises, I think, coming up. I will get the. You see, Ken's just confused because he doesn't listen. What was that? Wow. And what we will do.
Oh yeah, we have. Oh yeah.
You don't know what it is, do you?
You've no idea.
You have no idea what it is.
Not Scooby-Doo.
So what we're going to do, we'll get the menu up. My one for next month will be the Great PCP survey, because I think I've just about got the website working again, and I'll put the survey live 2 weeks before my stream. We'll just sort out who's doing what when. We'll also start having a chat about some of the orders for CrackCon, for things like, obviously, t-shirts are still available. All the games are gone, but we'll have a look down that list again. I think there's still some things still open, and of course dice are on the horizon as well.
Have we got a dice? Wow.
Speaking of CrackCon, so everyone knows I'm running Space Weirdos at CrackCon. Now, normally it plays better 1v1. I'm working on a multiplayer version. Well, one person, so 4 people can play, 1 mini each. So I'm hoping to run a couple of games at CrackCon as well. It's got to work out a few new rules for it. So that's one good thing about Space Weirdos. You can add so many things to it. So yeah, multiplayer Space
Weirdos in space. We love
yes,
absolutely. Trage said that he's thoroughly enjoyed his first PCP. So you're welcome. Thank you for taking the time to join us and getting involved. And of course, yeah, as people have pointed out, happy 4th of July. To
ungrateful colonists.
Traitors.
But well done, well played.
But didn't they do well? Yeah,
didn't they do well? As York says, you'll always be welcome back. But anyway, guys, happy 4th of July. On that note, we would like to thank you once again for watching on the catch up, and we will catch you over on Steve's channel next week. I think there isn't much left to say other than that Ken is going to go and buy a new mic before next week, because he can definitely afford one, because all the money he's saving doing is 3D printing. Dom's going to go away and read all about the Horus Heresy, so he can tell us about it next week. And Steve's going to still paint a French drummer. So on that note, we will see you all next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.